Some of y'all have heard me do this, but I think it's a good reminder. And I'm going to tell you truthfully, and they need a couple, they might need, you got enough of them? Okay. The greatest challenge as a leader in this business is who do you spend your time with? Yes. Would anybody disagree with that? No. And we spend typically 80% of our time with the 20% that aren't working. And we need to spend 80% of our time, we spend 80% of our time with the 80% that aren't working. We need to spend 80% of our time with the 20% that are. And our brain is the problem. Because in our mind tells us, well, they're doing great. They don't need me. I need to go spend my time breathing life back in to the girls in my group that aren't doing anything. And that's what I should do. Well, guess what? That's the poorest choice you could possibly make on the planet. Now, let me give you a disclaimer before I get into this. Number one, people matter to God. Can we all agree on that? Yes. So even people who aren't working in our organization still matter to God, and as a leader, they still should matter to us. People who are doing a little but aren't doing what we think our expectation for them is, they still matter to God and they should still matter to us. But there's a fine line between letting those people become the obsession of your leadership style and drive you to spend all your time trying to revive them and saying, you know what, I can't help people who don't want to be helped. I'm going to go work and spend my time with people who really want to do something. And classic example, I was just on a trip this weekend and I'm talking to one of the leaders. She's a 2-diamond, trying to become a 3-diamond. And I said, tell me about your business. She starts telling me about her girls and telling me about this leader. And she's got a 1-diamond and she cut her loose to go build her business. And now she's back looking for more designers. That's not how you build this business. Okay? You have to quit thinking this way because it's not working. You can almost poll anybody in the senior leaders. It's just not working. And so what I'm going to show you is what we have to do. You have to figure out who wants to work. Who do I spend my time with? And I call it working with your leadership. So you get an 8.5 inch piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, and nowadays you can do it on the computer, but I used to do it all by hand, and you draw out circles, and some of you may need 2 or 3 pages. And these are your first levels. So now you talk through your first levels. You put all their names in there, and you're going to talk through these girls. Now you have the sheet. You have merchantships, and those are your retailers. And I think, yeah, you got the wrong sheet again, my bad, but we'll correct it for you. So your merchantships, those are retailers. All they're going to do is retail. They're not, now don't misunderstand, they might accidentally, sponsor. We've accidentally had merchantship become a designer, but it was an accident. She didn't really want to be a leader. She had no desire to lead anybody. Randy, they kept coming up and asking me if they could do the business. What am I supposed to say? So we have those, but that's not normal. Retailers, all they need from you is the latest booking activity, the latest fashion tip, the latest home show idea, and most of the time you can see them at training, you can send them emails, you can send them newsletters, you can communicate with them occasionally, and they're happy as can be. Why? Because you taught them how to do a show, you taught them how to get a booking, you taught them how to have a sponsoring activity in their show, you taught them everything they need to know about retail. When you've spent the first 90 or 120 days with those girls, guess what? There's not a lot of new information. Would everybody agree with that? I mean, this business is so basic. I mean, other than calling pass or play something different, we all have our creative twist to it. The reality is most of the things we do in the business have not changed. So your retailers really don't need a lot of time. And Andy told us 27 years ago, Randy, you will sponsor girls who will do one show a month for the rest of their life. And you can build a business with it. Now don't miss this. Premier is a $500 million a year company. Our average jeweler does one show a month, maybe. And we're a $500 million company. So here's the news flash. We don't need our girls to do more. We need more girls. Did you catch that? Yes. We don't need our girls to do more. We need more girls. Now, here's another struggle that the people in Premier, women primarily, struggle with. Well, Randy, what about the philosophy and the purpose? We're supposed to enrich their lives. And I agree with all that. I'm not in any way suggesting we don't do that. But I am suggesting that because women are more nurturing than the men, we have girls in this business, you have the tendency to take it too far. And you spend far too much time trying to revive people who don't want to be revived. And you know why? Because 3 reasons. They have such a great need. They have incredible potential. Can't spell. Or you just like them. You just love being around them. So 3 reasons why we choose to work with them become the 3 excuses why we can't let go and go work with somebody new. But Randy, you don't understand. She has such a need in her life. She has such an incredible potential. She and I have become great friends in the business. Guess what? All of those are great reasons to start working with somebody, but they're poor excuses to keep trying to motivate somebody who doesn't want to work. So you have to sit down and go through your group very logically, and you have to be willing to evaluate what they are in the business. So you have retailers, your gold ships. I call them your leaders. That sheet says they're your designers. I would change that because a builder could be a gold ship. If you've got a girl that just made builder and she's getting ready to make designer in the next 60 days, I'd say that girl's a gold ship. You know, now the girl that took 3 years to make builder and she's already got 2 quitting and she's not sure how she's going to get 2 more before her review, that girl's probably not a gold ship. So you have to evaluate where they are in the business. Your silver ships, those are your workers. Those are people who are doing a lot of shows. They're also people who have an interest in sponsoring. A brand new jeweler is always a silver ship. Why? Because you have no idea where they're going to fall in the business yet. You haven't had enough time on a track record with them to decide, is she a retailer? Is she wanting to really sponsor? So brand new jewelers are always a silver ship. Then you have empty ships. Those are your talkers. They're always talking about what they're going to do. They're always telling you about their plans for the new year. Now, I know y'all's business is different than ours, but we have 100 or 200 girls that submit to us the same goals every year for the last 20 years. And then every year, at the end of the year, it's the same excuses why they didn't achieve them. And then after the first of the year, it's the same resolution to start all over again and get recommitted to Premier. Does anybody have girls like that in your organization? So you have to be realistic and realize they're just talking about what they're going to do. You have sunken ships, and those are your quitters. They're not renewing. They've already told you, I'm not renewing. The worst thing you could possibly do is decide you're going to talk them back into the business. And you know why people do that? Well, I need that leg of my organization. If I lose that leg, I'm not going to be able to keep my status. And I'm thinking, yeah, but if you try to keep that leg, you're going to lose your enthusiasm. You're going to lose your motivation. You're going to find yourself not even interested in doing the business anymore. Because it's more exciting to develop a new leg than it is to try to hold on to one that's not interested in working. And it takes half the energy to get a new leg that it does to hold on to an old leg. The reason you don't believe what I just said, because you're exhausted from that exercise right there. Because what I just said, somebody in here is going, I don't think I believe that. The reason you don't believe it is because you're so tired from doing this, you don't even realize how tired you are. And if you had the energy of hanging around a jeweler who's excited, a jeweler who wants to build, a jeweler who everybody she talks to is interested, you hang out with that girl, oh my gosh, it totally changes your whole perspective about your business. Great illustration. And it's a true story. Cha-ching, you know. Poor Kathy, we're going to be wearing her out with that the whole retreat. That's right. Melody Box. 5 years into the business, she's just a retailer. One day she called and said, hey, I'm ready to sponsor. Now, what she didn't know was we were at that time in kind of a little bit of a rut sponsoring, and I was totally depressed in the business, disillusioned about the business, going, man, nobody's interested, nobody's wanting to, do anything, and I was really frustrated with the business. But when she called, I went, okay, can't get anything going in Dallas, I'll just start getting on the plane and going to Detroit. So I started going to Detroit every month, working with Melody, and in the next 15 months, helped Melody, Liz and I did, helped her sponsor 19 first levels. Folks, I got to tell you, there were times that I didn't need a plane to fly home. I was so high from helping her sponsor in Detroit, because I'm up there going, oh my gosh, if they're interested in Detroit, I know there's got to be people interested in Dallas-Fort Worth, and it just had a residual excitement that I got from working with Melody. So that's what I'm talking about. When you find somebody that wants to work, you have to go work with them. And if you've got somebody you just think, oh my gosh, she needs this so bad and she has such potential, I just wish she could see it, and I just like her. Those are really poor reasons to keep trying to revive somebody that's not interested in of course, today we have all these zombie movies, She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to come back from being a Walking Dead, right, or something like that. You're going to have dry dock. Those are flounders, not fish with two eyes on the top of their body, right? A flounder is somebody who's struggling to find solid footing. If you look up the definition, that's somebody going through a divorce, having severe marital trouble. They have a child having trouble at school. They've got a child or a family member going through, an illness. So you're going to have people that are going to be at that stage. And guess what? All you have to do is love them through it. You don't talk to them about what their goals are. You don't ask them how many shows they had last month. What do you have planned next month? You just say, hey, Kim, how you doing? And then you listen. Man, I'm going to be praying for you. Liz and I, we love you. If we could bring a meal, whatever. You know how to go into that action when people are going through a tough time. So those people are going to come back. And what happens is when somebody comes back from dry dock, they're better than sponsoring 5 or 10 new jewelers.
Do you put a limit on flounders on time?
I don't. I mean, if I got a girl that's just going through a tough time and she's renewed for 4 years in a row and she's still going through a tough time, I'm just going to hang with her and keep loving her through the process. You know why? Because there may come a day when she finally overcomes the top of that mountain she's climbing and she is ready to go. So I wouldn't put a time limit on it with anybody here, because only God knows how long it's going to last. We don't have that perspective. But what we can do is stay focused and interested in these people. So you get up here and now you're going to evaluate people. And you've got some that have sponsored, and we all have these. You got a first level, and now you have a designer in your second level, and the first level's not doing much. Guess what? You're going to go through and evaluate all these people. Now, many times, you may not even know all the people. So what does that tell you? If you're evaluating your downline and you're running across names of people that you don't know and have no idea who they are and what they're doing, what does that tell you? No, it tells you need to get on the phone and meet some people, right? You need to be talking to, now, depending on how big your organization is, ours at 1,200, we can't get on the phone and call 1,200 people, but we have senior leaders, 42 of you in our 10-10-10 that are helping us take care of those 1,200 people. And so we're spending more of our time working through our leaders. So it changes as your business grows. But I would say from our business, Elizabeth and I pretty well knew every single person in our organization up to about 300. We just knew who they were. Premier would miss a show, I'd call the home office and go, hey, so-and-so did 6 shows and you only show her doing 5. I mean, I knew a lot of information about all of our people at 300, but I can't do it anymore at 1,200. So each of us have a different number. I'm not saying 300's for everybody, and you'll hear Elizabeth at times talk about her saucer theory. Some people have a teacup saucer, and some people have a dinner plate saucer, and some people have a bread plate, and then some people have a platter. And so depending on which one of those is you're going to have to decide what your number is that you can keep up and know all your people. But the reality is, if you would sit down and honestly evaluate this, it does something for you. Because what happens is you come back and highlight them. Now, here's your opportunity to go to Staples and buy a new set of highlighters. Okay? Isn't that fun? Don't we love that? That's the most fun trip to Staples ever. So they make them now with all 6 colors. You get green for retailers, yellow for leaders, blue for the workers, your silver ships, pink for your empty ships, pansy pink. You get orange for your, I didn't say that, did I? Orange for your quitters. Orange, you're glad they're not renewing. That's what you got to remember. And purple for your dry docks. Now again, please understand, I'm not making fun of people that don't work. Okay? I'm not. But I am trying to get you to realize your decisions are many times based on false assumptions that you think about Premier. 4 weeks ago, I stood right here, did this training, talked to a group very similar and told them, hey, 90 days, 120 days, you've done everything you can to help that person. If they don't do it, it's time to move on and go somewhere else. The next morning, Andy Horner stood right here, and he's pounding that podium right there, and he says, you give them 90 days, 120 days, and if they're not doing it, it's time to move on and go find somebody new to work with. I went, hey, I think I know now where I learned this principle. See, the very man who taught us to love and to care and to share and to serve the people God puts in our path also understands it's a fine line because you're also building a business and building people's lives. And as a leader, you have to understand the choices you make you. So, you have to be realistic about this. Now, ladies, let me be honest with you. You're going to always try to talk yourself into believing in the girl who you think you should probably, it's time to turn the page and go work with somebody else. And you're going to always throw the buts out there. So you need somebody, if you're not logical, now there are some women that are logical. There's Ramona's logical, Gail Foster's logical, Elizabeth's logical, Sylvia's logical. Most of you are logical, probably a lot of you. So maybe you don't need a husband listening, but my wife and she's logical at times too, but at times. Thank God she's out of the room. Won't have, do what? Yes, it is true. But only occasionally. Yes. But just last year, she's trying to talk me into going and working with a girl who's been in our first level for 5 years, and she's not doing any more today than she was 5 years ago. But, Randy, but you don't understand. She has such a great need, and she has so much potential, and she's so sweet. I just love her. And I looked at her and I said, Elizabeth, she isn't interested in working. You're right. She hates saying that. She hates saying that. But you have to take this honestly. Now, what this is not an opportunity to sit down and bash your people. You're honestly evaluating, where are they in the business? What are their desires in the business? But you also have to discern. And ladies, God gave you incredible discernment. Many of you in this room remember times when you looked at your husband and said, I don't think we should do that. And he goes, why? And you go, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about it. Right? So God has already given you discernment, but it's like some of you take discernment and just throw it out the window when it comes to your premier business. And you have to realize you have to be honest and evaluate these people. Now, once you've highlighted this, it becomes your roadmap. So when you wake up in the morning and you go, what should I do today? Who should I be working with today? You pull out your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that has all your circles on it, and you look for the blue and the yellow circles. You're going to spend 80% of your time focusing on the 20% that work. Now, this is a great exercise for all of you to do with yourselves in your own business. But Liz and I, this is how we literally built our business, is traveling around, sitting down, and helping our leaders do this exercise. Some of you have done it with us. And you may go, man, I remember that. I don't know why I don't keep doing this. But you have to evaluate your people every 90 to 120 days. And that's the greatest challenge. And what humors me is, and none of them are in the room, so it's none of you, but we have senior leaders that when I sit down or Elizabeth sits down and we say, who are you working with? It's the same 3 or 4 girls this year as it was 5 years, 10 years ago. That is a sign that your business is not moving forward. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't have leaders in our organization 10 years from now, the same leaders. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're focusing on the same 4 girls that you were a decade ago, that's probably a good indication that your business is pretty much flatlined. Because new people is who keeps us excited. And the key to building this business, anybody ever heard me say this? Is show the marketing plan. You tell me how many times a week you show the marketing plan in a year, and I'll tell you exactly what's happening in your business. Because it's all tied to how many times you show the marketing plan. You say, well, my people are showing the marketing plan. I know, but you should be out showing the marketing plan. Greg Terrell and I mean, we are out just every week showing the marketing plan. Elizabeth is constantly trying to get somebody lined up to see the marketing plan. And that's what keeps our business growing. And here's the reality. Now I'm going to be vulnerable and transparent. We just sponsored our 286th person. We're so excited. And we have about 22 of the original ones still active. And we've had about 22 roll up. So we got 44 first levels currently. I forget what the statistic is, but I think that's 7%. 7% of that number right there still active in the business today after 27 years. That's not all that great. Okay? Out of those 286, we have 13 leadership legs. We used to have 18, but now we're down to 13. But guess what? The 5 that quit or lost their status weren't doing anything anyway. It didn't impact our income negatively. It didn't impact our business negatively. But the reality is we used to be at 18. Now we're at 13. And that is 1 out of 22 have built our business. 1 out of 22. I wish I had better news for you. What I've determined is statistically on paper, we're failures in Premier. Just telling you the truth. We just don't know what we're doing. I determined, based on 7%, we've had over 13,000 people come through our 10-10-10 in the last 27 years. We've had over 3,100 leaders come through our organization in 27 years, and today we still have about 220 of them active, and that would be builders all the way through executive director. Statistically, we're failures in the business. But you know what I'm excited about? Statistics don't determine your success in Premier. Now, statistics can tell you whether you should do this or do that or do more of this or do less of this. Statistics can certainly be helpful, but the reality is, if you've been sitting around going, man, I am just horrible, I'm just a worthless leader because I got people quitting, I can't keep people working, Andy used to tell us 1 out of 15 would build. And I'm going to tell you, for 20 years, that was pretty close to right on the money for us. But this is where we are right here. And our business is still thriving, even though 1 out of 22 people we've sponsored has actually built a leg of our organization and helped us build our business. Any questions about this? Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We're not a numbers company, but numbers is part of it. You can't avoid the numbers. And if you're going, well, I'm not focusing on the numbers, well, then you're not going to build a very big business, because you have to get out and put the people into the business in order to see the people succeed. Now, Bob told us this, and this is for senior leaders only, so I don't know how we'll edit this out, Fred, but we'll figure out. Edit this right now, Fred. I'm telling him in the video. Okay, now he knows. Retention, first year retention, 70% quit. That's in Premier. That's the current statistic. You're going to keep 3 out of 10. First year. First year. That's the company. Now, we always hear our retention's 52%. That's true. But that's everybody renewing. So what does that tell us? We have a company of people who stay around a long time, but we've had to go through big numbers to get those people. And Elizabeth was saying, focus on your active number. Our active number, we're at 1,200 jewelers, and our active number is somewhere over 700. That's pretty awesome. But that means 500 people aren't doing anything. That can be pretty depressing. But this number right here keeps growing every year. And that's the number right there that's actually going to build your business and make you an income in Premier. So sometimes we get our eyes focused on the total, but we have to stay focused on the active. And you know what I'm saying? Not the... your report's a little bit deceiving, because it'll say, like out of 1,200, it'll tell us, oh, you've had 1,125 people have had activity in the last 90 days. Well, that's just a horrible, I don't know who came up with that, but that's not statistically very helpful to any of us. I'm talking about month in, month out, at the end of your commission report, it says X number of people were active out of this number, right? That's the number right there that you want to make sure it's growing.
What's the 52%?
That's our retention. That's our company retention on an annual basis. In other words, this year in 2013, everybody that renews in 2013, 52% of them will renew. But that's all of us. That's all the people that have been in 27 years and all the people that have been in 1 year. Okay? Now, before we panic, that's not a bad statistic in direct sales. And part of this, I'm just going to be honest with you, is as a company grows, I mean, when we go to rally and we're in our executive director section, there's jewelers sitting in our section that are in our 10th, 12th, 15th level. Many of those don't even have a senior leader in their 10, 10, 10 upline. And I forget what Bob said, but there's a significant number of jewelers in Premier who don't have a senior leader even in their upline 3 levels. It's significant. I forget the number and I don't want to make one up. But what it tells you is as the company grows, we need more senior leaders. But as it grows, it's going to be more and more difficult for us to get to all of those people. So guess what that's going to impact? Our retention. So the goal here is not to get us all depressed. The goal here is to help you realize you have to keep building your business. You have to keep looking for new people. And when we hang around new people, we stay excited. But our brain says, I'm so overwhelmed right now. If I had a new jeweler, I just don't think I have the emotional energy to help her get started in the business. You need the new jeweler to give you the emotional energy that she's going to put into you by being excited. Now, occasionally we're going to sponsor one that's going to suck all the life out of us. That happens. It happens. And I'm on video, so I can't tell a story for you, Kathy, right now, because I would maybe hurt somebody's feelings. But the reality is that happens. But if you're going to go, well, I can't afford to sponsor because the last one, whew, she took it out of me, then you're never going to sponsor again. But you have to keep sponsoring. I wish I had better news for you, but I've never sat in a meeting where Andy talked about how we were going to get the jewelers that we have to do more, because he understands the principle. You can only get so much out of them, and they're independent distributors. Some of them are more independent than we would like. But they're independent distributors. They're independent to succeed. They're independent to fail. They don't have to do anything we tell them. And the reality is, we're going to drive ourselves nuts if we think we can make them do something that we need them to do. We can't do it, but we can keep looking for new people. And you have to constantly be evaluating your business. Like I say, when I look at these numbers, I kind of think I get depressed. But I'm going to tell you, our business is doing pretty dang good in this economy. I mean, Elizabeth talked to a leader yesterday in our downline, a senior leader. They're down 21% this year. I talked to one the other day. They told me they're down 27% this year. We're down 5% this year. People are down, but why are we down? Everybody's racking their brain. I don't know why. It's hard to figure it out. Is it the economy? Is it just the world we live in? Think of all the negative stuff that's going on even this week. That impacts women emotionally. When women get scared to get out of the house, when women are, emotionally tied into the stories of children who were killed in that bombing at the Boston Marathon, I'm just telling you, that's our sales force. It would be so nice if all your husbands did the shows. Because there's something about men, you can just look at them and go, Paul, get to work, would you? And Paul will get to work. But if you say that to Valerie, you better go find some place to hide because she's coming after you. Not really. Not. She can't even move right. And that would be a great, actually with her foot right now, it'd be a great time to say anything you want to say and get away with it. You can even the slowest one in here can outrun Valerie. So, I don't know how you're all feeling, but I know that it's been a pretty difficult last couple of years. And in the morning, we're going to have a little video to start the day off by Andy's pastor, Robert Jeffress. And it's the cure for complaining. Because my observation of us as a senior leadership group is we've been doing an awful lot of complaining the last couple of years. And it's filtering down to our people. And we're having trouble motivating people because they don't see us motivated. Now, maybe I'm off. But I can speak from my personal. I've been kind of down some the last couple of years. And I want to get renewed and refreshed and recharged. I'm going to tell you the best 27 years are in front of us. Direct sales, and I don't have time to get into it because it's late and we don't want to keep you here all night, but direct sales is exploding worldwide. China is a communist country, and direct sales is exploding in communist China. We're all worrying about what's going to happen to America, what direction are we going to go. It doesn't really matter. If we're socialist, if we're communist, it won't matter. Our business thrives in any of those environments. So what we got to do is quit worrying about what we can't control and get excited to go work our business. And that's where the enriching the lives comes in. Because every American family needs more money. Do y'all agree with that? Yes. So if they do, then where is our passion to want to go out and tell every American family about Premier? Our business works. It's better than any other model out there. And our retention, hey, if ours is down to 30%, let me just tell you, the rest of the industry is down to 5%. Because we have the best training, we have the best home office team, we have the best leadership in the field. So it's not just Premier. Tim tells me, he's on the board of directors of the whole industry with the DSA. He tells me, man, Premier's doing great compared to what the other companies are all going through. So it's not Premier. And it's not really all of us, but we've got to quit looking at it as if it's something we have done or are doing and realize we just got to get back out there, tell the story, talk to the people, and work with the right people. So we don't have time. It's time to quit. But tomorrow night before y'all leave, we'll talk about the process of what is it you do once you just figure out who it is you work with, what are you going to do with them. We'll talk about that tomorrow night. Y'all been the best senior leadership group we've had all day.